Alright guys, so sometimes we might have to store date and time, right? Because of course we are dealing with trading, and sometimes you need to know the chart time and day. For example, remember I said we have different kind of time frame, and each bar carries a particular time and date. So we need to store date and time sometimes. So there is another data type available on MQL4 which we can use in storing date and time, and of course if you can guess right, the data type name is Datetime, right? Then you'll be able to specify the variable name, for example, maybe the bar time, you know, then, or you can verify, you can give it whatever name you want, maybe like expiration date, and assign a value. So when you're assigning a value and you want to specify a particular date and time, so what you can do is you can say D, then one single quote. Make sure you open and close it immediately so that you won't forget to close it, something like this. Then you start with the year. So the format is, let me quickly write the format for you. So the format is this: the year dot the month dot the day, right? Then you can also you can optionally specify the time. For example, you can say 8:45. Then you can optionally specify the seconds as well. So these are options, right? But the moment you specify the hour, you should try to specify the minute as well. But you can specify just the hour and the minute, leaving out the seconds, right? So let's quickly make this possible. So you can say 2026, right? So you can say May, maybe the fifth day. So let's quickly see it. When we do not specify the time, so it is going to assign 0, like it is going to assign 12 a.m. that day. So let me save and compile. Let me pop up my toolbox to see that in action. Okay, we have no error. So let's quickly run this. But since we are not calling it, so let's call this. So we can say print alert the expiration date. So I'll save and I'll compile again. So I will launch this. All right, you can see it is giving me that 2026 May 5th, right? But it is assigning 12 a.m. because I did not specify the time, right? So what if I specify the time? So all I need to do is give it a space, just like this format. Oops, I should have said year. I should have said hour, minute, and seconds, right? So I'm sorry about that. So yeah, let's go again. So we can say maybe 12:34. Let's give it this, like, so let's give it this for now. So automatically it will give it seconds of 0, right? So let me save and compile. So we launch this. You can see that is that. So let's go back and specify the time, I mean the seconds. So you can say maybe 22 seconds. So let me save and I'll compile. And as you can see, here you go. So now, what if you specify 0? So what value do you think you can get? So what if you do not have the time that you want to specify for now? What if you specify 0? Yes, you can specify 0. So basically what this actually do is that, yes, it stores the value in this time, like this format, right? But in memory, it stores it in integer form, which is the number of seconds starting from the 1st of January 1970. So more like the start of the Gregorian calendar, right? So the start of the Gregorian calendar is the 1st of January 1970, right? So now, generally, so when you specify a value like this, it's going to get you the integer equivalent, that is the seconds, the number of seconds starting from this particular day, right, to this particular day you specify, right? So what I'm trying to say is, let's assume I want to say, okay, let me have this in integer form. So give me a minute, expiration, right? So now let's print J instead. You see that this will be in form of an integer. Say I'll save and I'll compile, right? So we forgot to put semicolon. So let me save and compile again. Then I will launch this. You can see now it is in form of an integer, right? So, and that is because this is the number of seconds starting from the 1st of January 1970 till this particular date that I specify, right? So it is actually in memory, it is actually storing it in the integer equivalent. So, and at the same time, so that means we can also specify values like 0, right? And if I save, you know what, let me just take this out. So if I save and I try to print out this expression, can you guess what it's going to give me? It is going to give me this particular day, right? And that is because you are telling me that get me a time that is just 0 seconds away from January 1st, 1970. So that is what I'm trying to do here. So let me save and I'll compile. So let's see what the value is going to be. So I'll save and I'll throw it again, and this is it. You can see that it's telling me that you are telling me that you want to store a time that is 0 seconds away from 1st of January 1970, and of course this is the value. So that is that. So let's assume I want to specify maybe 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 60 seconds after. So this is more like telling my script that I want to store 60 seconds from 1970. Let's see what this is going to give us. I'll save and I'll compile, right? So let's launch again. You can see this is 1st of January 1970 plus 60 seconds, which is 1 minute. So I hope you can get the concept now, that whatever time you specify here, either in form of an integer or in form of this, which I said we should specify in form of this form. So it is going to get the integer equivalent. Then it is going to assume you are specifying seconds away from 1970 January 1st. So that is what it is going to be doing. So that is the date time. So as you move on, you understand all of these concepts better. I would like to add something, and that is that generally the basic part of a concept that is new to you might not make sense at first, right? But as you move further and see how those basic things are used and put together, for example, this date time, as you move further through the course, and you just like I've been saying, stay with me and just try to move forward, even if you still find it hard to understand everything that I'm saying. So as you see, all as I put together and use all of these basic concepts that I've been mentioning, right? So everything will start to make sense, especially when you now courageously go back to the basic to go through the concept all over again. Since you've seen how these concepts are put together and used, so when you go back to learn about them again, it will automatically want to stick because you already know that you are going to be using it in the future, right? So just like concepts in some subjects, just like mathematics, economics, we find it hard to understand what they are. For example, I remember when my teacher was talking about inflation back then, and we just memorized the definition of inflation. Now we get to see what inflation is, and automatically we do not even need to memorize or remember the exact definition of inflation. We already know what inflation is firsthand, right? So even going back to read through the text or the notes given to us by our teacher then will be so easy because we already know the practical use of this particular concept. So that is what I'm trying to say. The basic concept that I'm introducing to you now might be hard to comprehend, but as you try to move forward, regardless of you being not able to understand everything at once, and as you see me put together all these concepts, it will start to make sense. And all you just need to do, as I mentioned in previous lecture, you just need to go back to the lectures starting from the beginning and try to start all over again until you're satisfied. And like I said, do not consider it to be time wasting if you go back. Of course, I'm very sure you paid for this course, so the benefit of paying is just to get value, right? And do not hesitate to go back multiple times to see these basic things all over again. And by the time you get to where you were before you moved back, you will now understand, you will feel better, right? So please stay with me and try to move forward. Open your mind, and please do not hesitate to go back to the video to to rewatch any of the lecture that you find hard to comprehend. So I'll see you on the next one.